So I modded my $250 revolver. Here's what I think. What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking mods for the 856. Specifically what mods I did and do I think they're worth it. So with the 856 being a budget gun, I didn't want to go nuts and throw a bunch of parts on it that was going to cost a fortune. So I decided to keep it as focused and as minimal as I could. I picked two mods that I thought would enhance the firing or shooting experience as much as possible. So with that being said, the budget mods that I picked were the Hogue wraparound grip and a hammer and trigger spring kit from Wolf Gun Springs. The Hogue grip I got on eBay for about 30 bucks. Installation is pretty simple. You pound out the roll pin in the factory grip, pull it off, mount up the Hogue mounting hardware, roll the grip on, and then there is a small screw in the very bottom of the grip that you tighten up. The Hogue wraparound grip is significantly different from the Taurus grip that comes on the gun. The main thing that I noticed is that it's significantly taller, or longer I guess, than the factory Taurus grip. It lets me get a better grip on the gun when I'm shooting. In particular, I noticed that I can get a full pinky on there as opposed to the Taurus grip that I could only get kind of half of my pinky on. There is, however, a trade-off. The factory Taurus grip has some really nice texturing on the back strap here that the Hogue does not, as you can see. And the Hogue, the way it sits, kind of shortens the length of pull a little bit too much for me. It's almost too compact on there. And that's something that I didn't like. If I could find a grip that has the length of the Hogue with the better length of pull that the factory Taurus grip does, I think that would be about perfect. Like I mentioned, the second mod that I did was a shooter's pack of hammer and trigger spring from Wolf Gun Springs. Installation of these was relatively simple. You take the grip off, which I already had off because I was changing the grip. There's a couple screws here on the frame that you undo, and this panel just kind of pops off. And the springs are kind of here and here in the frame. With a little bit of creative finagling, you can get the springs out. After that, it's about as simple as changing a recoil spring on a semi-automatic gun, if any of you have ever done that before. It's just a lot smaller. In particular, the trigger spring is a little bit fiddly because of the way that it sits kind of inside the frame. Overall, it took me about 15 minutes or so to get that in there. Now, the springs in the kit are reduced power, so it should make the hammer and the trigger action lighter and consequently easier to shoot. The hammer, actually, before we move on, I just want to show you these are snap caps. The hammer is easier to pull back, noticeably easier to pull back, and the single action pull is a lot lighter, significantly lighter. The double action pull is also significantly lighter and maybe a little bit smoother. Now, I haven't taken my trigger scale yet to this thing after the spring change, but if y'all watched the 856 initial impression video, you remember that the double action trigger pull was off my scale, so probably about 11-12 pounds, and the single action was, I think, like 6 pounds, but it was very smooth and didn't really feel like that. Now, the way it is with the springs, I would say that the double action pull, probably around 9 pounds, and the single action pull, much lighter, probably about 3.5-4 pounds now. So lighter on both ends, as promised. So, was it worth it after all that? Well, kind of yes, kind of no. The grip, again, was $30, and this one I'm going to have to say, not worth it for me. It's a great grip. Hogue grips are awesome. The extra real estate for my pinky is great. But there are things about the factory Taurus grip that this doesn't have that I miss, and paying $30 to lose some features that you already have, kind of a no-go for me. Now, the Wolf Gun Spring Kit. That was about 20 bucks, give or take, shipped to my door. And that one I'm going to say is worth it with kind of an asterisk. I did the installation myself, but I think that there are going to be a lot, or the majority of people that are buying this gun that probably won't be comfortable doing the installation on something like this themselves. With that in mind, I would think that it's not worth it. The reduction in pull weight for the double action especially is really nice, don't get me wrong. It smooths it out quite a bit, it makes it easier to shoot. But is it enough to justify $20 plus, however much more to have it installed by someone else set against the price of the gun? I mean, remember, this is a $250 gun. I don't think so. I think the factory springs are heavy, but they're workable, and I think that the gun runs just fine with the factory springs. So all in all, for both of these, I think we're at kind of 50-50. No on the grip, yes, with an asterisk for the springs, provided that you're going to do the work yourself. So that's it, my thought on mods for the 856. Considering the price of the gun and the price of the mods, I think that a lot of shooters would be better off just investing that money in ammunition and in training. Again, these are just my thoughts. Your method may vary, your results may vary, but that's what I think. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, the video of the G3 is also live on the channel, so go check that out. I will drop a link to that in the description. If you're interested in any of these mods, I will drop links to them in the description as well. You can check out the 856 of Brownells, where I got it from. Up next for both of these budget guns is yet more testing, yet more rounds through them, and eventually a head-to-head comparison. So if that's something that interests you, I suggest that you make sure that you're subscribed. I will also drop a link to the Practical Tactical blog in the description, which has a bunch of more practical information that I think you're gonna like. Throw me a like or a comment if you like this content and other content that I'm doing. Don't forget to ring that bell on your way out. That's all I've got for you this time, so until next time, stay safe.